So Shawn Murphy is a prospect that's garnered a ton of attention and deservedly so. A talented inside linebacker and a 4 or 5 star prospect depending on where you look, he's an individual that possesses a unique skill set. Anytime you're 6'2", 210 pounds plus, but still maintain the burst and speed that Murphy possesses, you're going to garner a lot of attention. However, that is now only going to be amplified now that one of the most legendary linebackers of all time has taken notice, because Butkus had high praise for Shawn Murphy, something we need to break down. But we also need to turn our attention to some prospects in the class of 2023. Before we do all that, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited to add Shawn Murphy into this inside linebacker group for the Crimson Tide? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoy the content, like and comment down below. Those interactions are truly massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's hop right into this, because it's not every day that you have a legendary linebacker such as Butkus praising a talented prospect, and even further than that, saying that his game reminds him of Nakobe Dean, an inside linebacker that's assuredly a first-round pick this year. And Alabama fans, you know Nakobe Dean all too well, a very talented linebacker for the Georgia Bulldogs who possesses elite sideline-to-sideline speed. Anytime Butkus takes notice of a young prospect who happened to win the Butkus Award for high school linebackers, so Shawn Murphy has been out here impressing for a while. But anytime Butkus takes notice and then says, hey, you remind me of a guy that's about to go into the first round of the NFL draft, and for great reason, turn on his film and be impressed, that is high, high praise. And Shawn Murphy is a prospect that Tide fans are going to have a ton of excitement around, especially when you look at that inside linebacker room, which is incredibly talented. Christian Harris exits and goes to the NFL draft, and now there's an open position. Jalen Moody entered his name into the transfer portal, but then withdrew his name, putting him right back in contention for that open spot opposite Henry To'oTo'o, but he's not going to be the only one competing. Deontay Lawson is a prospect that really impressed during the spring game last year, and he's someone who I think Tide fans are going to be very interested to hear about how he continues developing down the line. But it is awesome whenever you look and see a new addition to your team, in this case, Shawn Murphy to the Crimson Tide, that's already getting noticed by such elite players such as Butkus. And Shawn Murphy's getting noticed for good reason. His senior campaign was unbelievable in the stat department. 113 tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and 2 interceptions. So he put up monstrous numbers. I can't wait to see what he does in this inside linebacker room. It's a room that has a lot of talent, a lot of intrigue around it, considering that's one of the major positions fans will be watching because of the exodus of Christian Harris. But what a position group between he, Jalen Moody, Deontay Lawson, so many talented players to keep an eye on for who's going to win that spot. But now we need to turn our attention to some prospects in the class of 2023, because Alabama's really starting to heat up in some of these battles, especially a battle that is going to be very important, one such as 5-star offensive lineman Caden Proctor from Iowa. The Crimson Tide crack his top 7. It is going to be difficult to pull him out of Iowa whenever you have institutions such as Michigan, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Iowa recruiting him amongst various others. But at the end of the day, an offer from the Crimson Tide is one that has continuously proved to be hard to ignore. It's going to be interesting to see how the new offensive line coach can hit the ground running in that department, and what the Crimson Tide will be able to bring in that department of recruiting, because it is an area that they always are going to continue adding in talent. That's just the nature of offensive line recruiting. You always want more talented prospects along that front. But speaking of talented prospects along the offensive line, 4-star offensive lineman Austin Seerveld also includes the Crimson Tide in his top list. Now, this is another battle. It's going to be very hard to lift him out of Ohio whenever Ohio State is one of the schools that made the top cut as well. But at the end of the day, just like I said with Proctor, an offer from the Crimson Tide has proved very hard to ignore. So it's going to be interesting to see how the staff is able to try and win these battles. But the last prospect we need to talk about before we get out of here is on the defensive line. 4-star defensive lineman Tamarian Parker, an in-state prospect, top 100 player in the nation, top 10 in the state of Alabama, has the Crimson Tide on his final list. And this is a prospect we need to keep an eye on, because the defensive line is going to be of massive importance to the Crimson Tide this year, and Tamarian Parker would be a huge win. There's a ton of talent along the defensive front in the state of Alabama, and getting guys such as Peter Woods, James Smith, and Tamarian Parker is going to be paramount to the Crimson Tide's recruiting aspirations this year. So we need to keep up with this battle, but there are going to be countless more 2023 battles we need to be aware of that will be coming up really soon. With all that, I'm really interested in hearing from y'all. Hop down below, let me know what prospects in the class of 2023 you're really interested in, and then don't forget to let me know what was your reaction to legendary linebacker Butkus singling out Shawn Murphy and saying he thinks he's poised for big things. That's it. See ya.